Hello and welcome. My name's Heather. I'm a registered professional counselor and a certified life coach. Today, I'm going to analyze Season 1 of Never Have I Ever. Before I get started, make sure to subscribe to get more videos like this and hit the bell to get notification of new videos. In this video, I'm going to be talking about post-traumatic stress disorder, how therapy is portrayed in the show, and the process of grief. Let's get to it. At the start of the series, we learn that Davy lost her dad in a sudden and traumatic way. Shortly afterwards, her legs were paralyzed for a few months. After she was able to walk again, she's now determined to have the best school year of her life and to forget about the past year.
This year, we're rebranding.
Davy presents with post-traumatic stress disorder, also known as PTSD, which is a mental health disorder that can occur after experiencing or witnessing a traumatic event. Not expressing her grief manifested into physical symptoms. This goes for any feelings that we may be ignoring or repressing, as it can impact our physical health. We can see she's easily irritable and has angry outbursts with little provocation. These signs and reactivity can be linked with experiences with trauma. Between stimulus and response, there is space, and in that space is our power to choose our response. Therapy can help increase this space so that we can respond in a thoughtful and meaningful way. Throughout the season, we see Davy's avoidance of stimuli associated with the traumatic event. Davy desperately tries to avoid painful memories of her father's death and the events leading up to it. She is also triggered by external reminders of her father, such as tending to her father's garden or playing her harp, which she strongly tries to avoid as these reminders bring up memories, thoughts, and feelings. As a way to cope with her trauma, Davy engages in reckless behavior as she radically tries to change herself and find a sense of belonging as a teenage girl.
I'd really like a boyfriend, but not some nerd from one of my AP classes. Like a guy from a sports team. He can be dumb. I don't care.
Davy's main focus of this year is to get a boyfriend, and she has her eyes set out on Paxton. Why does this kid look like he's 30? Oh, it's because he is 30. I do want to point out that by casting adults to play teenagers can create unrealistic expectations of what teenagers think they should look like. We see this happen all the time in movies and in shows like Riverdale, Gossip Girl, and Pretty Little Liars. And these unrealistic expectations of how teenagers are portrayed on the show creates feelings of anxiety and inadequacy as teenagers can never live up to the physical attributes portrayed by the characters on the show. Davy experiences a variety of intrusion symptoms, which are often associated with traumatic events. These symptoms include recurrent distressing dreams.
You died. Yeah, I better know.
Intrusive distressing memories, and intense flashbacks that border on hallucinations. As her relationship with her mom becomes more strained and reaches a tipping point, Davy has a flashback of the night of her dad's death and uncovers a repressed memory.
You with her. Not a woman. That's your child. She's no daughter of mine.
We see the dynamics between the family and that Davy and her mom have a rocky relationship, and that her dad played an important role of being the peacekeeper.
Let's stop yelling at each other and look for the sheet music together. And when we come home later, I will fix this.
Now that he's gone, their relationship has gotten more complicated and strained.
Don't like you? That's not true. I heard what you said the night Dad died. You said I wasn't your daughter. I wish you were the one that died that night.
Davy makes an effort to prioritize her social life in her sessions with Dr. Ryan.
You're asking me to tell you if I think you're bangable?
Yeah.
And avoids topics of her father's death and her recent paralysis.
It's a grief journal. Sometimes the pain we feel is too hard to say out loud. This way, you don't actually have to say it.
Journaling can be an effective and safe way for us to process and express our feelings. There's a lot of research behind the benefits of journaling, and I wish the therapist would have walked Davy through how to use this a bit more and to talk about the benefits.
Dr. Ryan?
Baby, we don't have an appointment.
I know, but I need your help.
It is very unrealistic for clients to show up unannounced without an appointment.
Wait, why do you look hot? Do you have a date?
Yes, I do. And don't look so shocked. I do have a life outside of being your therapist.
It can be weird for our clients to see us outside of sessions, like if we're on the streets or in the grocery store. And due to ethics, we're actually not allowed to greet our clients outside of our sessions unless they approach us first.
I need your help.
Okay, what's going on? But after all you've been through, maybe you shouldn't be so focused on having a boyfriend. I mean, do you really think you make a good girlfriend right now?
It's important to set clear boundaries with our clients. This is not an appropriate time to offer any advice as it reinforces this behavior from clients.
So what is it you can do this year to succeed at something that would actually make you happy and make you feel good about yourself?
The best thing to do is to provide some resources to help the clients between sessions or to book a follow-up appointment.
And the whole time, Paxton kept complimenting me and telling me how much he respected me and stuff. What do you think that means?
Sometimes clients like to talk about their dreams and want to do a dream analysis. There's not a lot of validity behind dream analysis, but sometimes it can be helpful for clients to create meaning behind their dreams. But this is not a regular technique that I personally use in my sessions. What I find interesting is that she's willing to talk about this dream that she had about Paxton, but she didn't share the dream that she had about her dad. And I think this is another example of Davy's avoidance.
Damn. Is this kid on HGH?
I know, right?
And so she'll find ways to distract herself, and Paxton is the perfect distraction for that.
Now, we've been seeing each other for months, and you still don't want to talk about your father.
What's there to talk about? He's dead. It made me sad. Now I want to talk about a major event that could happen this week.
If a client wants to talk about something, therapists usually help them dive deeper into that conversation or help them understand how or why they're feeling a certain way towards the situation.
I talked to my dad the other night.
Okay, you used the grief journal.
No, he came to me as a coyote.
Excuse me?
Just to be clear, therapy sessions usually aren't like this. There's a lot of assumptions made from this therapist and also her pushing her agenda, such as wanting Davy to talk about her father's death and steering the conversation that way.
Going forward, you might see your dad as a butterfly or a bird or a gentle breeze or...
No, Dr. Ryan, I didn't see him metaphorically with my heart or some shit.
She's not asking any questions to Davy. She's just leading the conversation.
I want you to allow yourself to acknowledge the pain you so clearly feel.
So you're saying I should get over my sadness by getting really sad? Why would I do that?
Feeling is healing. Oftentimes, people are so afraid of these intense emotions that they'll do whatever they can to avoid feeling that way. They'll drink, they'll binge on Netflix, they'll overeat, or they'll just focus on relationships.
Well, I think I should get a different therapist.
And I think you might be right.
I think Davy said this as a way to find reassurance and that the therapist also won't leave her. But by having Dr. Ryan agree with her, she's also feeling abandoned by her. Sometimes in therapeutic relationships, clients or the therapist may end their sessions together because it's no longer a good fit.
Maybe you would benefit from a different approach.
Are you serious? You're breaking up with me too?
Usually, if they do end the session, the therapist would offer referrals or other resources to the client so that they don't feel abandoned.
This is perfect. I've always hated coming here, so peace out. See you never.
And this is not the best way to handle the situation, as we see how upset Davy is. Nalini goes to Dr. Ryan's to get an update on Davy's progress.
I didn't think you were someone who believed in therapy.
I don't. It's for white people.
Mental health issues are often stigmatized in Eastern cultures and Asian communities, as mental illness may be seen as a sign of weakness or not a real thing.
Changing your geography won't necessarily change the problems that Davy is dealing with.
Well, I'm certainly not fixing them here on my own. I know that I'm not as good as Mohan, but...
You must miss him a lot. How are you handling your grief?
I feel that when the therapist is talking to the mom, it's a little bit more realistic to how therapy sessions are compared to how she's talking to Davy. I'm wondering if this is done on purpose and that she's trying to connect with her younger clients more, and this is her approach. So far, we see glimpses of how Nalini is coping with her grief and the loss of her beloved husband as she remembers the loving memories she's had with him.
You don't always have to be so strong. I mean, It might help her to know that you're also struggling.
Parents often feel like they need to be strong for their kids, so they don't show any signs of sadness or grief in front of them. This can leave the kids feeling alone or even ashamed or wrong for having feelings of sadness or grief, as they look up to their parents as role models.
What good would that do?
Huh?
Have you considered that falling apart might actually be the thing that brings your family back together?
Nalini and Devi don't talk about their grief with each other and both suffer in silence while taking their frustrations out on each other. We often experience sadness and grief due to painful events in our lives, such as a death of a loved one, loss of a job, or an ending of a relationship. Losing someone you love is such a profoundly lonely experience, something people endure in their own particular way. We see that both Devi and Nalini are able to apologize and share their vulnerabilities with each other.
I can't believe I said I wish you were dead. I didn't mean it. No, don't apologize. Sometimes I also wish I was the one who went dead. No.
They both want to be closer to each other, and in order to do that, they need to find common ground and understanding for each other.
I know you think that it was your father who was the only one who cared about you, but that's not true. I love you.
Family therapy might be beneficial for them, especially since they experience a stressful and traumatic event. Therapy can also improve understanding and collaboration between family members and help re-establish their roles within the family dynamics, since Mohan is no longer the peacekeeper. This ceremony can be a cathartic experience for them and can bring feelings of closure and acceptance. We see that Devi is able to remember the happier moments with her father and isn't haunted with memories of his death. Grief psychologist William Warden identifies 4 tasks in grieving: accept the reality of the loss, experience the pain of the grief, adjust to an environment without the deceased, withdraw emotional energy, and reinvest it in other relationships. It's important to remember that letting go isn't the same as forgetting them, and it can be hard with grief because having that sadness keeps us connected with the lost loved one, or we feel guilty if we're living our lives or if we feel happy. The goal is to integrate the loss into your life and to create an ongoing connection with the person who died while also finding a way to continue living. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and let me know in the comments if you want me to analyze Season 2 of Never Have I Ever. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and check out my other therapist reviews videos. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Until then, be kind and love yourself.